Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz here with random reviews from the Overflow Room. We are slowly making progress, and it's going to take some time here. We just finished Vaughan Williams, where one of you had a comment. I just want to make this point, folks, that about how much you detested the music of Vaughan Williams. Nobody cares if you hate something. I really don't want to know. I'm going to delete it if you say that. When we're talking about these composers and we think it's great music, we want to try and be positive about things. Now, you can say that you detest a performance of the music. We can talk about how certain styles are better than other styles in those talks where I asked for us to have a discussion about how we feel about the style. But for someone to just come in and say, oh, I hate Vaughan Williams, I always have, his music sucks. Give me a break, please. Just don't waste our time. Nobody cares what you think. Really. Come on. Anyway, that's just my take on it. I'm saying it now because I hate to delete things. But by the same token, I want to remind everybody who wants to comment that it's not a right, it's a privilege. And if you don't have anything positive to contribute to the conversation, just don't bother. Because I don't like to see that stuff, and neither does anybody else. So there you go, I've said it. And I just think it's worth making the point. So thank you very much for your understanding. And you can take your piss and bile and stuff it. There. We're on the letter V. We're on the letter V because we're going to be doing some composers that people don't know so much about. I don't really want to know that you don't like them. If you really don't like them and you have a reason, if you want to say something intelligent, that's fine. But if your only thing to say is, oh, I don't like it, I think it sucks, well, that's meaningless. It's just drivel. So the composer we're talking about is Latvian composer Peteris Vasks, who's marvelous. He's absolutely marvelous. He's a wonderful composer. He was born in 1946. He's written all kinds of cool stuff. His style is modern tonal Nordic, along the lines of composers like, Rautavaara, and, people like that. You know what I mean? Nordgren. And it really marvelous. There's modal stuff, there's nature music, there's bird song a la Messiaen, there's beautiful melodies, a sort of luminous, widely spaced instrumental textures. They're really, really gorgeous stuff. And I have a bunch of his things here. He seems to have enjoyed 15 Minutes of Fame about 10 or 15 years ago, and I haven't seen much since, but I assume he's, still just as good as he always was. Assuming he's still with us, I don't even really know. I haven't been paying too much attention, but he was born in 46, so he should be okay. Let's just have a look, shall we, and see how he's doing, because I haven't checked, and I probably should. So here we have Vasks. I'm just checking here. There he is. He's smiling. That's really good. He's 77. Thank God. We wish him a long and happy life. We really do. So here is a bunch of Vasks discs. Let's see if I can do this. First, Violin Concerto, Distant Light. This has been fairly frequently recorded. Musica Dolorosa and Viatore. This is his world premiere recording on BIS. The other stuff has been around for a while. The Violin Concerto was written in 1996-97. There's some fabulous contemporary music out there, my friends, and if you don't know Vasks, you really should. This is with the Swedish Chamber Orchestra under Katarina Andreasson, solo violin leader. She does a lovely, lovely job with it. The Violin Concerto was originally written, I believe, for Gideon Kramer, who recorded it, and Gideon Kramer is Gideon Kramer. Most other violinists will sound nicer than he does, and this is no exception. I reviewed a bunch of these things for ClassicsToday.com, so you can take a look at Vasks and see a whole bunch of reviews there that describe the music pretty well. So you don't need to, I don't need to duplicate all of that stuff. Just check out the reviews on ClassicsToday.com. They're free reviews. Anybody can read them. So that's this thing on BIS. Then there was a Vasks disc on Telarc, which probably no one will ever hear again or see again. We've got Musica Dolorosa for string orchestra. His string orchestra works are particularly lovely. They really are. Cantabile for string orchestra. The Lauda and Voices Symphony for string orchestra. Then we have, Clusuma Balsis which is Vision of Silence. There we go. Doesn't that sound great? And then there's this other thing. I'm just going to do it in English. Voices of Life and Voices of, this is the symphony, the voices. It's Voices of something that begins with a C, because I can't even see the way that this is. They do these things, you can't even see them. Voices of Conscience. Thank you. That's what it's going to be. So after Lauda, we get the Voices Symphony. There we go. It's for string orchestra. This whole thing is for string orchestra with I Fiammingi under Rudolf Verton. And it's quite lovely. It's a beautiful disc. If you like wonderful contemporary works for string orchestra, they're very listenable, but they never pander. There's nothing silly or cheap about anything that he's doing. Then you're going to really enjoy this. And as usual, we have company in the back there. Hello, Finster. Yes, I know. Okay, then we've got the Cello Concerto with David Geringas, the Latvian cellist for whom the work was written, with the Royal Philharmonic and his String Symphony Voices. Here again, with the Riga Philharmonic under Jonas Alexa. This was on Conifer, actually, which is part of BMG. And these are all really good performances. I mean, there's nothing we can say about it that's going to be, surprising or difficult. And let's see what else have we got. Symphony number 3 with the Cello Concerto with Marco Ilonen cello and the Tampere Philharmonic Orchestra under John Sturgards on Ondine. Beautiful symphony. Oh, it's just lovely. I mean, I described it as sort of like Gia Cancelli with only less depressing. That is, there are passages of great turbulence and huge outbursts, and then quiet, spacey nature music, and really some remarkable stuff. Really remarkable stuff. It's a beautiful, beautiful work, and it deserves to be heard. We have some choral works here with the Latvian Radio Choir and Sinfonietta Riga under Sigvard's Clava, or something like that. It's sort of hard to say. Oh, that's L, Clava, with a thing under it. I don't know what that does. The Paternoster, Dona Nobis Pacem, and the Missa, which is 37 minutes, and a major, major choral work, and a very, very beautiful one, too. It's really quite terrific. Thank you, dear. Then we have, on Virgo. That was on Ondine as well, by the way. Cantabile for strings, Botschaft for string orchestra, 2 pianos, and percussion. Musica Dolorosa, that's kind of popular. And the Stimmen Symphony, again, this is like, the third recording of it? Isn't it kind of amazing that these pieces have multiple recordings, and most people will not have heard of Peteris Vasks? That does not make any sense to me. But this is on Virgo, and it's with the Latvian National Symphony Orchestra in Riga under Pauls Megi, and the Latvian Philharmonic Chamber Orchestra under Tovius Lifshitz. Try and pronounce Lifshitz, actually. It's, nice Jewish name there in the Latvian spelling version thing with extra diacriticals just for fun. Then we've got Symphony number 2 and the Violin Concerto, Distant Light. Again, the second symphony is fantastic. It's 40 minutes long, single movement, huge arch thing full of, quasi-modal things and birds and stuff. And it's just great. And the Violin Concerto, Distant Light with John Sturgards, again, with the Ostrobothnian Chamber Orchestra under Juha Kangas, conductor. Sturgards conducts the symphony with the Tampere Philharmonic, again on Ondine, which is quite wonderful. Stick that up there. And last but not least, here was the original recording of Distant Light, as I mentioned, with Gideon Kramer, his kind of edgy sound. It's a little quicker than the other performances here. And the Symphony for Strings, Voices, with Kremerata Baltica. Voices we know by now. Isn't it just incredible how many versions of these things are out there? It just goes to show that people thought that they genuinely had the possibility of becoming popular because they're beautiful and easy to digest on a first hearing, even though, as I said, they're not easy music in terms of their expressive range and their stylistics. They don't pretend to be kind of like, phony, easy in that sense. They're not cheap. They're not tacky. They're sensitive. So after Vasks, we have, of course, Edgard Varese. Here's some Varèse. Quite a bit, actually, I think. Some interesting stuff. Varèse wrote so little music. I mean, what are there, like, half a dozen pieces or something? And so, you're not going to have hundreds of Varèse CDs. I mean, you could. But most of my Varèse is upstairs because I like it very much and it's fun to listen to. So here we have Arcana Integral and Ionization with Zubin Mehta and the Los Angeles Phil, coupled with William Kraft's Concerto for 4 Percussion and Orchestra and Contexture's Riots, Decade 1960. This is a really cool contemporary music disc. And here it's on Decca, the Classic Sound. Original remastered recording. It's also with the Zubin Mehta LA Phil box, which we've talked about elsewhere, right? Then we've got this really cool one on Non-Such with the Contemporary Chamber Ensemble under Arthur Weisberg with Jan de Gaetani and Thomas Paul. This is really hot stuff. This is a great record. This was one of classic Varèse discs ever. You get Offrande, Integral, Octandre, and Equatorial. Oh, this is so cool. Equatorial is scored for bass, 4 trumpets, 4 trombones, piano, organ, 2 ondes martineaus going woo, like that, and 5 percussionists. I mean, what's not to love? It's so cool. So, and then Offrande is for soprano, piccolo, flute, oboe, clarinet, bassoon, horn, trumpet, trombone, harp, strings, and 6 percussionists. I mean, might as well go through the whole list here. Integral is 2 piccolos, oboe, E-flat clarinet, horn, 2 trumpets, trombone, bass trombone, contrabass trombone, and 4 percussionists. And then we've got Octandre, which is 8 people, right? Flute and piccolo, alternating. Oboe, clarinet, and E-flat clarinet, bassoon, horn, trumpet, trombone, and contrabass. It's only 6 minutes and 48 seconds. Most of these pieces are quite short, actually. The longest, Equatorial, was only 11 minutes and 45 seconds. But Varèse never repeated himself. He was obsessive about being avant-garde and more avant as each piece progressed. So they're very interesting. Then we've got Xenakis and Varèse. Xenakis's Dämmerschein for large orchestra, and Persefassa for 6 percussionists, and La Déesse Athena for baritone, solo percussion, and ensemble, coupled with Varèse Amérique with the Carnegie Mellon Philharmonic under Juan Pablo Izquierdo on Mode. It's Mode 58, in case you're interested. Really very good performances and fun to listen to, and they all just fling themselves at the music, and nothing not to love. And here, this is Philips, yes, Les Percussions de Strasbourg. This is Japanese Philips. So I'm so proud of these things I got from Japan somehow. Ionization, and then let's see, Maurice Ohana, 4 choreographic etudes, and Miroslav Kabelach, his 8 inventions, and Yanis Xenakis, Persefassa, yeah, yet another Persefassa. You can collect Persefassas. You can become a Persefascist, a fascist. No, I'm just kidding. Xenakis would have a nervous breakdown about that. But this was on Philips. It'd be nice to have a Les Percussions de Strasbourg box at some point, wouldn't it? Depending on what the labels have. And then, this is a classic Varèse disc with Maurice Abravanel and the Utah Symphony. Amérique, Nocturnal, and Equatorial. Now, these are fantastic performances. You wouldn't think the Utah Symphony, right? They nail Amérique. It is a thrilling performance, my goodness, and fabulously well recorded. Amazingly well recorded on Vanguard. It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant, with Pacific 231 as a jolly little filler by Honegger. If you don't have this, you really should. I've talked about this recording before. It's just amazing. And then we've got the 2 Boulez Varèse things on Sony, because he redid some of it on DG. His Sony ones are better, as is often the case with Boulez. You get the earlier stuff, it's much better. You've got Ionization, Amérique, Density 21.5, Offrande, Arcana, Octandre, and Integral. You get the whole thing, 77 minutes. And here you have Désert, Equatorial, and Hyperprism. That's practically the complete Varèse. It really is. The only thing that's missing here, I think, is the poem Electronique or something like that. And then we've got, with Elliott Carter's Symphony of 3 Orchestras, which is kind of a mess. But then again, the piece is kind of a mess. So there you are. That's Varèse. And we'll stick these here up with the rest of the V's, and we're getting to the top of this shelf. And when this is filled out, we move down. We start moving down. I'm really happy We're almost getting there. Wow, baby. Johann Baptist Vanhal, Symphonies Volume 1. The others are like upstairs somewhere. He was one of those nice Czech members of the nice Czech classical school. He lived from 1739 to 1813, which is almost exactly Haydn's lifetime. Quite similar. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 symphonies with the Nicholas Esterházy Sinfonia under Uwe Grod. And really, if you like that classical period stuff, these are 3-movement symphonies. You know, the longest is 18 minutes, the shortest is 10 and a bit. They're delicious, and you should give Vanhal a shot. I mean, these Czech composers were all really talented, and they wrote beautiful, beautiful works with lovely wind parts particularly. And I really enjoy this. I mean, it says here, they have captivating melodies and dashing rhythms, along with echoes of Haydn and Mozart. I mean, they really do. That about sums it up. So if you like the classical period, give this stuff a shot. You will not be sorry, for sure. So there we have it, 3 V's on this particular example of random reviews from the Overflow Room. Keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.